Welcome to Creamer Media's Resources Watch, a weekly video roundup of the events and people making and shaping the news in the mining industry. This week, stationary hydrogen power highlighted as major solution by Toyota fuel cell using developer. Automotive demand for platinum expected to hit 7-year high this year. And Sibanye-Stillwater highlights its full confidence in price-hit platinum group metals. Elemental Energy is on a major mission to build hydrogen power systems in developing countries in particular.
We started out with this business thinking about bringing some of the existing hydrogen generators that are in the market into the African market, not only South Africa, but elsewhere in Southern Africa. And then we realized that basically many of the hydrogen generator replacement systems out there are not really fit for integration into other renewable energy sources and aren't really built to be plug and play. And so there's a lot of engineering that needs to happen in order to get those systems to work. So what we ended up doing was basically building that engineering side of it ourselves. So we use the Toyota fuel cell, and we think it's a great fuel cell in terms of its history of running in their vehicles and its performance. And then we've built all of the power controls and all of the software that controls that fuel cell to provide backup power, integrating it with a battery, integrating it with solar, integrating it with the grid if you've got grid available, and basically doing the control logic that just chooses which of those technologies to use and when. And then obviously also on the upstream side of the fuel cell, all of the supply of hydrogen and the management of the hydrogen so that it's properly stored, properly delivered to the fuel cell, and in a way that is sort of safe and efficient. So we do all of that, and we've started building projects in South Africa as well. So we actually deliver these end-to-end projects for different customer sites in South Africa.
This year could potentially turn out to be quite an interesting year for platinum as a commodity and also as an investment, with the 2023 platinum market deficit of 878,000 ounces forecast to be followed by a 2024 deficit of 418,000 ounces.
So 2024, the outlook for internal combustion engine vehicles is lower than for last year. And yet we continue to see growth in demand for platinum for automotive applications. And there's really two driving forces behind that. Firstly, we still expect increased platinum for palladium substitution to occur this year. That may begin to abate or even reverse in future years, given that the price differential between platinum and palladium has more or less closed. But the bigger factor really is arguably, going forwards, increased hybridization of the drivetrain. This is something we've kind of been expecting, but it seems to be happening a little bit faster than we might have otherwise have anticipated. And interestingly, it's possibly also happening at the expense of future growth in battery electric vehicles. So consumers seem to be pushing back against the kind of everyone has to electrify as rapidly as possible sort of mantra. Simply put, not all geographies and not all vehicle roles are suitable for battery electrification with current battery technologies. And there are economic aspects behind consumer reluctance as well. Just using data from the UK, battery electric vehicles on average are around 55% more expensive than the closest ICE equivalent. And during a tough economic period, that's quite a big ask to make consumers to make. So we're seeing consumers pushing back a little bit. For the first time really ever, we've seen a downgrade to battery electric vehicle production in 2023 versus initial expectations. And so looking ahead, what we're seeing is that potentially ICE hybrid vehicles and plug-in ICE hybrid vehicles are being favoured by consumers, at least, as the transition technology. And we're seeing some of the automakers begin to reflect that in their vehicle lineup as well. Now, the key point to make here is that for hybrid vehicles, because they're typically operating with the engine being turned on and off more frequently and therefore at a lower engine temperature, you need higher PGM loadings in the exhaust treatment system to ensure that those vehicles remain in compliance with emissions legislation. So it's roughly around 10 to 15% higher loadings per vehicle, and that is obviously supportive of automotive demand for platinum going forward, in combination with that embedded platinum for palladium substitution.
While the operating environment remains challenging, with macroeconomic and geopolitical uncertainty persisting, the medium to long-term view of Sibanye-Stillwater remains largely unchanged on the fundamental outlook for the metals it produces, with the exception of nickel.
So where we've ended up is in a bit of a volatile situation where supply chains have created major disruptions for end users who, through the experience of COVID and the Ukraine invasion, have stocked up and built up inventory. And what we're seeing in the depressed environment at the moment is that that inventory is being reduced and there's destocking taking place. That's what depressing the price. None of the fundamentals have been impacted negatively. And of course, inventory is finite, and we are already seeing a little bit more activity in the spot market from end users. So we remain positive and constructive regarding the PGM markets.
For mining news as it breaks, stay logged on to miningweekly.com and register for our free daily newsletter.